All right. Let us do this. My name is Jason, and we're going to make a record over the next several minutes, maybe several dozen minutes. All right, so I was just staring at the screen there for a minute to make sure that the Twitch was working. Um, Thanks. Glad to be here. All right, let's not waste any time. I'm just going to switch to this. Okay, so here we are. Um, I apologize to all of you who aren't Apple users because we're going to focus specifically on GarageBand today. Here's why. GarageBand, which comes with your Apple product, which makes your essentially makes your Apple product even more expensive. Why? Because it comes with a bunch of loops that some musician somewhere was paid to make, and that means that Apple has paid to license it, and then we, as the consumer, get to use them. Um, so I'll go into that a little bit more as we get going. But the way this is going to work, I would like to write 5 spontaneous songs today. I would like to use your help if you're here, um, uh, to figure out what the theme of the songs will be. I also have some ideas of using particular websites, but this is really an exercise in. I call it spontaneous songwriting because I think sometimes people think that they need to spend a lot of time thinking about doing things like writing songs. You don't. It's fun to just weave melody together, and often we're not in a position where we have a studio at our disposal. But inside of GarageBand, you do. So I've already set up my GarageBand instance. I'm not going to reset it because playing with it, making it work with OBS can be challenging sometimes. So I'm gonna remind you that the way I got here was I opened GarageBand. I selected empty project, which is my favorite thing to start with in GarageBand. Um, Again, Apple tries to make it easy for people to get stuff done quickly. Sometimes that ease leads to a lot of settings that you don't necessarily want. But for today's project, I'm using an empty project to start, and we end up here. Um, so yeah, I should have been able to hear myself there. Great. Okay. So when I'm writing spontaneous songs, I like to start by just randomly choosing from the loops that GarageBand opens for me. So it's hard to see because of the way that I have OBS set up here. So I'm going to do something real quick. Apologies about this. I'm moving my face. So I've moved my face, and now you should see on the GarageBand screen that there, up here on the top right of your screen, is a little loop. When I click this, I'm going to click it, and now I'm going to move my face to the other side of the screen. You'll see that I'm faced with literally hundreds of loops. What happens when I click this? When I click these, I hear a preview of what the loop is. And at the bottom of the screen, or if I just click it again, it stops the preview. Okay. Because this is spontaneous songwriting, I have no interest really in anything but it's hard to be completely random because I'm going to see the names of things, but I'm just going to sort of randomly choose stuff. And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do it by I'm going to create we're going to make an EP today. I'm not sure what it's called yet. But we're gonna limit it to we're gonna make it in several different genres. The first genre is gonna be a pretty classic rock and roll setup. We're gonna use the Rolling Stones as our guide here, and so this is gonna be 2 guitars, bass, drums, and keyboards plus a singer. And I'm gonna pick these loops, and I'll get into a little bit more of what they are, randomly. So, but I do need to know the following. I need to know so we need drums. So I'm just going to I chose instrument here as my limiter, clicking all drums, and I'm just going to kind of randomly go down here And I'm going to choose... Well, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to choose Last Dance Beat. Okay? And so I just dragged this beat over. Again, while I'm choosing the Rolling Stones as a guide, I'm not choosing their style of music as the guide. I'm just choosing the setup of the band itself. So again, 2 guitars, bass, drums, and keys, kind of a classic setup. What we might do while we're spontaneously songwriting here is figure out that what we've put together has nothing in common with the Rolling Stones at all, and that's totally awesome. So the Last Dance Beat, perfect. I've been reading a lot about Dirty Dancing lately, the movie. Fascinating story about that Grammy-winning single, I've Had the Time of My Life, which I won't talk about any further, but recommend looking up who wrote it, who was supposed to sing it, especially if you're into classic disco or 80s pop music. Okay, so we got our drums. Now I need 2 guitars. So I X'd out here, and I'm going to pick an electric guitar. Actually, I'm just going to choose guitars, which will choose all of my guitars for me. And we're going to go with Inertia Disco, speaking of that. Don't worry, I'll go into a little bit more about what I'm doing here after I get all these things. And let's go with Neon Light guitar. As you can see, and let me change this to time. I'm up here in GarageBand. I'm changing our display so we can see what time looks like. The first loop, the drum loop that we picked, goes to about 10 seconds. The Inertia Disco guitar goes to about 5, and the Neon Light guitar goes to about 3. All right, so, but again, we'll get to that in a second. So we've got drums, we've got 2 guitars, we need bass. Let's pick one. Bass is a little weird in, well, no, it's not. Look, you can just choose the same thing. So I'm choosing from all kinds of basses. I like Methodical Hook as an idea. So Methodical Hook bass. We're talking about methods, and this is indeed a method of songwriting right now. So we got Methodical Hook bass. We got 2 guitars, bass, drums, and now we need keyboards. So let's find it. I wonder if they put it under, so I don't want to just choose piano. I guess they're going to make me choose. They're going to make me choose something. I'm feeling like the choices we've made towards synth, so I'm going to pick a synth here. And, oh, rolling's in the name, so let's go with rolling phase synth. Okay, what did we just do? We just took a bunch of loops that humans made, and we just put them in a melange together based on the idea that we needed 2 guitars, bass, drums, and then vocals. I'm going to add the vocals after we hear what the band sounds like. This is like auditioning a band full of people that you don't know where they came from. You don't know what their discipline of music was, how much they even know how to play their instrument. And this is always the exciting part of hearing what it actually sounds like. I have no idea. But here's what GarageBand has done for me. If I go back to Beats and Project here, you'll see that the project is in D major. Like I can change the key, and then the loop that I put in there will change according to the key that I choose. It's in 4/4. So that's just a 1, 2, 3, 4 meter. I can choose a different meter if I want, but we're going to go with 4 because 4 is easy. I think a lot of the loops will tell you if they're in a different meter. Also, if I just, so we'll start here. This button I'm pressing right now, which you can see under my head, is the solo button, meaning it's only going to play this track. Let's hear what the Last Dance Beat sounds like. All right, this is a little groovier than I expected. All right, so if I just put that in a GarageBand project, exported it and said I wrote that song, I would be violating copyright. But the way that it works, if I add anything else to the song, any of these loops, if I add them together, there's a pretty good chance. I mean, I'm sure if it's just 2 loops, there's a pretty good chance someone else has done it. But to do it exactly the same way I do it is maybe fairly random. And in other words, I own, if I do this, oh yeah, this is far more like Sheryl Crow 90s than I expected. Although I know Sheryl Crow is an admitted Rolling Stones fan, so maybe that's fine. now that I've put those two things together, I've written a song. Like technically, legally, I've just written a song. Like it may not be the most ingenuous, or like it may not be the most ingenious song ever written, and it is two loops that I didn't play, but I did decide to put them together. Yeah, exactly. I'm hearing that there's no disco there. That sounds, it's just Sheryl Crow, right? So but technically, and this is something that we do at the library sometime, we will do like music and copyright workshops. Technically, this is now mine. So let's hear what they all sound like together. So we got Neon Light. What's going to happen here? Did you hear that? How that like sort of in key already? So I'm already going to make an arrangement decision here. I want that to come in after that first loop of that kind of awful verve pipe sounding guitar, but we're gonna roll with this. Like we've made our bed, we shall lie in it and make the best of it. Part of this workshop and part of this, this demonstration is that it's fun to write songs that you don't expect. So like letting the music kind of decide. Yeah, it's not disco, yeah, but letting the music kind of decide for you what we're gonna write about is kind of fun. So because that loop is short, I want that to be the end of the song. By the way, the song is just going to be this long. We're going to write a bunch of songs today, and your definition of song may be different than mine, but I'm working on a very broad definition of songwriting here, which is if you decide to put several different sounds together, you've made a song. If you have intention behind it, that is a song. So, lots of songs on free jazz and fusion records were just played and then captured, and that is a song. Today, we're going to make it more like a traditional pop song, but they're going to be super short. That's how we're going to be able to make a record so quickly. Let's see what this bass sounds like. Yeah. All right. Here we go. That's a little weirder than I expected. Let's just hear what that sounds like on its own. Unsolo these things. This might prove to be an interesting augmentation. What I'm going to do now is I really want the song to start that way. So we'll do some changes, and let's see, what was the rolling phase synth sound like? Oh, that's perfect. Doesn't make sense at all. Here we go. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, so I'm going to make some space for everything, but I love it. This is just, how can I use what I chose in the right way? So I'm choosing all of these loops, and what I want to happen is this sort of, what terrible 90s band can I reference? Let's say Filter. I want a Filter style intro that leads into what's going to sound like an earnest plea to a friend to continue to dance. That is what this, like, all of this is making me think of. Like, this is an earnest plea to a friend to continue dancing, because we've reached the last dance, but I don't want to. So we're going to let that methodical hook bass be the beginning, and we're going to let the rolling phase synth play us out. This is what we have just made. Here's the song that I need to now write lyrics to. Ready? Oh, not on beat, so we got to make sure that evens out. And this is even more 90s of me to like have a little dropout before we get into the actual song. Let's see how it goes. It has to go right there. Still a little bit closer. We want more of a Kenny Aronoff on the beat thing rather than a Chad Smith behind the beat. So what we're missing now, because I decided to move my bass into an intro scenario, I need to get it like an actual bass in here. So let's go with electric bass. That was not... I'm going to try this Paradise Disco because I really want some disco in this. I'm just going to throw it on the same thing as the other bass. And it's going to come in when that other guitar does. This also kind of sounds like a soft drink ad to me, so maybe we can go that way. I'm very pleased with this. So, it's a good question. There is only one right answer. And if you're in North Carolina, don't you have to say you're a Pepsi fan? How about this? Let's write an ad for a soft drink called Peffy, which isn't really either of those, but exists in this world where GarageBand thinks that that is a disco loop. So this song is going to be about a soft drink called Peffy. And Peffy, let's see. What do we like about it? Let's see. Choice of the new generation was Pepsi's. So this could be the what's another word for choice? The selection of the select. We just got to come up with a single rhyme here. But let's just start adding some vocals. Right, this is important too. It doesn't really matter. Like we're listening mostly for melody right now. So if Pepsi, maybe Pepsi is a better word. But Peffy is more fun to say. So let me just make sure I'm getting some vocals here. I'm recording vocals now. Peffy, Peffy. All right, so that's fine. That's just an idea. And then to always, if this is really Sheryl Crow had a really profitable and I think successful career as a backup singer, meaning she had like just a great malleable voice. So let's assume that I think maybe Sheryl did some Pepsi commercials too. Impossible to know. I'm going to make a new track here about Peffy. And then we just have to come up with a tagline. If you have ideas, please put it in the chat. It should rhyme and it should be able to come through in a couple of lines. But let me get some harmonies here. Great. You know what I could have done too? This is a GarageBand thing. Let me show you. I'm going to delete this track. I can just click new track with duplicate settings. And then there we go. I'm already ready to go. So, Peffy. So what's interesting is I'm monitoring through OBS, so there's gonna be some spontaneous latency too, but I kind of like it. So we're just gonna have to line stuff up. Peffy. All right, so Peffy. There's the harmony. All right, so I'm gonna choose this cool count-in feature while I'm punching in, as you might say, to add some recording stuff here. Let's go. Peffy. It's really hard to do. Let me try that one more time. I don't even know where the latency is. Let's try it. Peffy. All right, so we got some harmonies there. Let's see how they matched up. I already tell they're a little off. Peffy. Let me just nudge this a little. And then since I was catching up with myself, there's no time to, when you got to make a record in an hour, you just got to use the tools associated with you. I'm doing a thing called splitting that clip, and now I'm moving the waveforms over to kind of match. Recording is fake. Here we go. Peffy. Oh, that's so exciting. All right. Obviously, these backing vocals need something. I'm going to add some compression to them. Compression just ends up crunching the louder stuff and making the quieter stuff a little louder. Obviously, they both need some effects, though. Probably just a little bit of reverb. So I'm going to click plugins here. I'm going to add, I'm going to just add some reverb here. We'll use Silver Verb. Berry and Cherry, this is great. Okay, great. This is awesome. All right, so we got some Silver Verb going on. What does that do? Peppy. That's pretty nice. Nice. All right, so let me add that plugin to this channel too. And then hopefully you're listening in stereo. I'm going to go ahead and pan these vocals left and right so we can hear Peffy coming from both ears. Peffy. I'm trying to think of synonyms for choice, new, and generation. So choice is a selection. What three, and then maybe a rhyme with selection, like make your selection. It's get the Peffy connection. That's, I mean, I assume the best possible lyric here. So, you've made your selection. It's a Peffy connection. So we're doing that. This is the lead vocal. And I think that I actually think I'm going to move the backing vocals to the beginning or end. I'm not sure yet, but we're gonna keep those quiet for a second. So I just muted them so we can get this one done. All right. Excuse me if this gets pretty loud, but you got to wail when you're talking about Peffy. By the way, here, let me put that in chat. This is how you would spell it. All right, here we go. We're going to really let ourselves get into it as we let this roll. You've made your selection. It's the Peffy connection. And then I think the backing vocals need to come in after that. So to let people really know what we're talking about. We're talking about Peffy. So that's pretty loud. Like that's probably going to distort a little bit. So, but we'll go ahead and add just a little bit of, we'll take the Silver Verb out of there and we'll add a little bit of echo. I'm looking at delay here. We'll do a little stereo delay. Let's see how. Made your selection. Oh, that's perfect. Really the best song I've written all day. So let's hear the whole thing. We got our band here. We got our new soft drink. Track 1 of the EP. You've made your selection. It's the Peffy connection. Peffy. Oh, yeah, that's great. So I think that we need to have both of these at the beginning too. We need to really notice I'm just chopping. I'm moving this stuff around like it's a Word document. That's how great it is. Here we go. Peffy. Oh, that needs to move back a little bit. Peffy. Peffy. You've made your selection. It's the Peffy connection. Oh. Look at that. So I cut off the front of these. I didn't mean to. Peffy. Peffy. This is probably coming in a little too early. So I'm going to move it back. Let's just make sure. Peffy. Peffy. There it is. Gold. This is so great. So Spontaneous Song. Number 1, done in 24 minutes. We got 4 more to go. Let's listen to the whole thing one more time. I can't imagine anything that would be better than this. So right now the EP, I mean, I find it's easier to write commercials than anything else when you're like writing songs quickly. So we got Peffy here. Peffy, Peffy, you've made your selection. It's the Peffy connection. Peffy, Peffy. Oh yeah, I want to buy that, whatever that soft drink is. Great. Done. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and export this so I can share it with everyone I know. Export song to disk. We'll do an uncompressed. So Peffy Connection is the name of this one. It's that easy. We just wrote a song, right? Perfect. So Peffy Connection, part 1, done. One and done. And now I could go, and don't worry, I'll make these available when it's over. Let's get a new thing going on here. Again, I'm just gonna delete. These are supposed to be spontaneous, so I'm not gonna worry about saving the project. Although, please do not save your projects. I'm just gonna delete these tracks. We're gonna start from scratch. I would love to know. I'd love to see in chat, like, what format should I follow for song number 2? I chose Rolling Stones for song number 1. Again, only out of their configuration. What configuration should I look at for song number 2? Examples might be Donna Summer, Pet Shop Boys, John Coltrane. Any ideas? I've got time here. I'm just deleting some stuff. So we're just going to get back to where we were before. I've been a sucker that's been paying for Spotify for a long time, so I don't know. All right, well, I'm just going to randomly choose then. Let's go with a more Kraftwerk style of scenario here. So technically, that would just be like several people, about 4 people with different drum machines. Oh, upbeat medical ad. Okay, this is actually really exciting. How about an upbeat medical ad in the style of Kraftwerk? So, really, Kraftwerk was just using synths to replicate other instruments, but let's make this synth heavy. Let's make this synth bass, synthesizer, maybe some sound effects, and other beats. Great. So I just picked all drums again, but I'm gonna limit it to something. Well, we'll just go with all drums. And in this case, I'm gonna use the word beat. I'm gonna see what's up here. Okay, Tesla coil beat. What is that? Let me actually type in simple and see if that. Okay, I'm gonna go with simple clap beat. So I'm gonna for this one. I'm gonna get a little more. I'm gonna think a little bit harder about what I want, but I'm not gonna listen to any of it again until I put it together. Again, with spontaneous songwriting, I don't have any ideas. I'm going to let the music be the idea for me. And you know, now that we're on an EP about commercials, an upbeat medical ad is this one. So great, excellent work. All right, so oh wow, I just saw Showdown Arcade synth just sitting here. That's going in there. Let's pick a second synth too. I'm going to type in laser because that seems like a cool one. Laser noise, laser synth FX01. Cool. Oh, wow, that's going to be great. And then let's get another synth in here. And I just saw the word vintage. That seems appropriate. Stab synth? Sure, let's see what that is. And then I'm going to add we're going to go with a little bit of percussion this time. But I want it to be like electronic percussion, which might be hard to narrow down. Let me just type that in. Yeah. So I'm just gonna, there it is. It's 70s Congo 1. That's gonna be a good one. All right, let's see what we got. All right, so it's house music, which seems appropriate for an upbeat medical ad. Let's listen to what these sound like on their own. Yeah, it's a little faster than what Kraftwerk would typically do, but that's fine. They had remix albums. Um, if we're doing any kind of medical ad, we're gonna have to build, right? It's gonna have to build so we can find out what's going on. But what does the 70s conga sound like with that? Oh, sounds really good. So I'm gonna crank that a little bit. Let's give ourselves a little bit more time to bring these in. And I think a sound effect, maybe the laser sound effect happening halfway would be good. So I can just, in GarageBand, I can, up here, if I get this little loop symbol, when I drag this out, it makes it a loop. And then, I'm sorry, I did that wrong. I was looking at 8 seconds. Every time you see a little, like, divot up there, it means the loop is complete. So... you get 70s conga to start again here. So I just copied and pasted that. Excellent. And I can use the little guidelines to figure out where that goes. And we'll take it to the end here. And let's get the laser synth going now. Sorry, I'm not being very methodical. Oh yeah, that's exactly, everybody wants that. This has got, I mean, I'm already feeling this pretty deeply, so we're going to make this a little bit longer of a song. I guess Peffy ended up being about 15 seconds. So I'm about to make a choice that some of you may or may not agree with. I think I'm going to take out the stab synth, which is what's making it house music, and I'm going to leave the Showdown arcade synth in. Maybe I won't, though. I am going to take it out. I want this to be more akin to those lovely innovators of electronic music, electronic pop music, Kraftwerk. All right, so here we go. Everything, we should hear everything here right now, so... Oh, this is going well. Okay, so now I'm inspired to get... so when you're spontaneously songwriting, it is okay to take stuff away, right? Like you don't know what's going to happen. Starting out with just an idea is good enough, and then let it. I'm not going to get too specific here. I'm just going to synths and pick something else. So this time I'm actually... That sounds actually very Kraftwerk-like, so we're going to drop that in for the end of it. I really want this to be an ad for a... like something that's opposite of bad. So like I was trying, the couplet in my head that was just going on here was, you can have it all with X vitriol. So we're no longer vitriolic. We're not that anymore. And in my brain, this particular drug is just like an orange or something. Like clinically proven to make people feel better. Fresh fruit. So, and we'll just call it X vitriol. And that here, let me put that in this chat. This is what I'm... X vitriol is the name of the medication. And then we'll have to have that clap beat going at the end so we can get all the really quick talking done. And I'll show you how to do that using GarageBand. So... Okay, so now we got to get some vocals in here. Feels like there should be almost a skit that happens in something that goes something like this. Yeah, exactly. So, but doctor, I'm so tired of not having it all. But doctor, I'm so tired of not having it all. I like that. I'm going to redo it though. And I really actually like the way that silver verb is still on there. So yes, this is what I want to do. So we're going to start this again. Ready? Here we go. But doctor, I'm so tired of not having it all. Great. It actually, now it feels more like a shampoo ad to me, but that's cool. The still life synth is actually suggesting a melody to me that I think we'll all agree is totally reasonable for spontaneous songwriting. So tired of not having it all. You can have it all. Nope. Close. I got to give myself a little more time there. Prince falsetto, come to me. You can have it all. There it is. Doctor, I'm so tired of not having it all. You can have it all. Ex vitriol. You can have it all. Ex vitriol. Perfect. I'm not even going to listen. I know it's good. But I do need to add harmonies. So you'll notice that, like, in order to make something, in my opinion, in order to make something sound thoughtful, you just have to have harmony singing. So, you can have it all. You can, maybe this one calls for like more of a round, but let's get a couple of voices here. You can have it all. You can have it all. There it is. But doctor, I'm so tired of not having it all. You can have it all. Ex vitriol. You can have it all. Ex vitriol. I'd buy it. But doctor, I'm so tired of not having it all. You can have it all. Ex vitriol. You can have it all. Ex vitriol. All right, so that seems to work. I like the verb, and I'm going to add a little bit more here. If I choose this, it gives me my verb is short for reverb, and like I've graduated into songwriter school or whatever. I am going to notice I didn't really change much of the, not that it matters, much of the effect stuff, but I'm going to add some stereo delay again, just because I like it and it's easy. You would, if you've been in a studio before, you know that that's what engineers do in order to make anything sound better. God, I'm really into this one. Doctor, I'm so tired of not having it all. You can have it all. Ex vitriol. You can have it all. Ex vitriol. I'm not going to worry about how distorted those vocals are because I kind of like that quality. GarageBand actually does a fairly good job of not clipping. It just got really washed out. I'm cool with it. I'm not going to change the panning on this one because the stereo effect is doing it for us. So now I'm going to type out really quickly what I have to say super fast. So I'm going to open text edit and I'm going to choose a new document. There we go. And here we go. Let's see. Ex vitriol should not be used by anyone who isn't into the following: having it all, fresh fruit, Peffy, spontaneous songwriting, joy, general joy. All right, so it doesn't really matter how quickly or slowly I read this because I'm just going to make it into the time that we have. And it's going to fit. Ooh, I didn't mean to do that. And it's going to fit into this amount of time. And I'm going to extend the still life synth here because I like it. I'm just going to use that. So I'll use this track again for these voices. All right, so I got to have my script up. There it is. Sorry, I got to move it to the other screen. You can have it all. Ex-vitriol should not be used by anyone who isn't into the following: having it all, fresh fruit, Peffy, spontaneous songwriting, general joy. So I actually didn't write enough words, but that's okay. I want to speed this up to sound like that, and I'm going to, in front of you, remind myself how to make that happen. I double-click this, and I can... Is it just track? So I can pitch correct it. That's cool. But I also... Is it transposing? I can't remember how to make this faster at the off the top of my head right now. But we can do it. Anybody out there in chat world, can you tell me right off the top of your head how to make this faster? I think it might actually be a plugin. Hold on. We won't do this for too long. We'll figure it out together, though. Gosh darn it. Modulation. That seems right. Well, let me do this real quick. GarageBand is weird. I don't know why they don't just allow us to do this automatically, but I need to enable audio units, which I just did. So now I should have audio units. Apple, delay, high pass, low pass, new pitch, peak pitch. So I'm going to use Google, using Google, and I'm going to type in the following. There we go. Speed up clip GarageBand. And it says, oh, right, you can't change the tempo. Right. You do have to turn it off and turn it back down. Select the entire audio region. Right, so I'm editing lungs, blah, blah, blah. You don't need to speed up the entire out. You can cut the silent parts for people. Select the audio region. Place. All right, so what we're going to just have to do is deal with the fact that I would have to export this, which I could do, and then speed it up somewhere else. There's another way to do it, and I can't remember what it is right now. But let's just see if we did pitch or modulation. We could do something else, but I'm going to go to audio units again. We can at least have fun with it a little bit. So let's do that real quick.
Vitriol should not be used by anyone who isn't into the following: having it all, fresh fruit, Peffy, spontaneous songwriting, general joy.
Let's hear that again.
Vitriol should not be used by anyone who isn't into the following: having it all, fresh fruit, Peffy, spontaneous songwriting, general joy.
I'm into that, and partially because we need to write 3 more songs before this thing's over.
But doctor, I'm so tired of not having it all.
You can have it all. Ex-vitriol. You can have it all. Ex-vitriol.
Ex-vitriol should not be used by anyone who isn't into the following: having it all, fresh fruit, Peffy, spontaneous songwriting, general joy.
So you saw what happened there. I did this on the same track, so it applied the effects to both things.
General joy.
And if I didn't want that to happen, what I could do is I could just make a track, which I will, and then I could drop this on it.
But doctor, I'm so tired of not having it all.
You can have it all.
Sort of just takes us back to 0. I do want to add the silver verb to that, and then we're done with this one, and we'll move on to the next thing, which is going to be great.
But doctor, I'm so tired of not having it all.
You can have it all. Ex-vitriol.
all should not be used by anyone who isn't into the following: having it all, fresh fruit, Peffy, spontaneous songwriting, general joy.
All right, that's it. Song number 2, 3 to go. 3 to go. So export song to disk, ex vitriol. Great. Cool. Song number 2 is done. This next song, I'm not going to go in with any expectations at all. I'm just going to pick words that I like. I'm going to search words and find things that that make sense. So let me delete all these again. Delete. Okay. Delete. Thanks for hanging out. It's good to have you all. I'm Jason. I'm digital media librarian at the libraries. And one of the things I really like to introduce people to is the idea that art doesn't have to be, it's not that it doesn't have to be serious. I actually take this really seriously. I think this is really good practice to just think about how things are going and then to utilize tools that are in front of us. Like all these loops are here for us. I could manipulate them a little bit more, and maybe I will in the next one, but it's just cool that it exists. And like, if you have an Apple product, you have access to these things. You may have to, if you have a Mac and you don't see all that same amount of sound files at your disposal, you can go to Sound Library and then make sure you have downloaded all available sounds. That includes sound effects and stuff. So I think you all can see that. Let me move my head. So again, GarageBand, Sound Library, and then make sure you download all available sounds. All right, so we're just going to wing it this time. Deleting this. All right, fresh canvas. All right, so I'm going to type in the word sun. Wow, sun glistening sea. No idea what that is. I like VHS tapes, so we're going to use the sunset bass and the sunset synth. Now those probably go together. Whoever made those loops probably made them at the same time. And then we're going to use the sunrise beat and the midnight sun topper. I'm going to add a second beat too. We're actually going to use both of these and see how they match up. They should match. So now I'm just kind of going for it. This is when I go and visit my niece and nephew. This is the game we play. Is can we write songs for each other? It keeps us from having to talk too much, and then it's actually encourages a lot of talking. So we got sunset synth. Let's get a sunbeam synth in here too. And then, and so I'm just guessing where this is going to go. And then Sunset Boulevard layers, no idea. Putting it up here. Well, I don't want to put it up there because I'm going to end up using that. I'm just kind of excited to hear what these things even are. So, and the reason I'm going to put this on a different track, I did that wrong, is I want to have control over each track. That's why, so that again, the tracks, this is a track, this is a track, this is a track, this is a track. Inside of the track are clips. I can manipulate the clips. I can manipulate the tracks. If the clips are on the same track and I manipulate the track, it applies to all clips. It's just like, it's basically a video game. So let's hear what we have. This is a pretty, it's pretty good. By the way, I'm putting all this together. You heard me say it at the beginning. All of this is copyright free-ish if you manipulate it. So imagine if you're making a video for class or you need podcast music or whatever, you can combine a bunch of Apple loops and manipulate them, and they're yours, they're yours. If you start to make a lot of money from them, that might be a different story. But I don't know if any of you are Tim and Eric fans, but if you listen to a lot of the music made for Tim and Eric's awesome show, you can hear these loops. Like, you'll just hear them in the background. You'll be able to find them. And I think they're still not getting sued all the time. Oh, wow. This is like, it seems like Zelda music. All right, so there's a lot of ideas going on here, and I like the beginning of this better than I like the end, although I like the end of this just fine. But let's see what happens if we just end it here. When I highlighted this part up here, it turned it into a loop. So if I wanted to hear other stuff, I could. As you can tell, that's totally different than the end, which is... Which I'm not... I like that, but I'm not into it for this particular song. I wonder if this would make sense. I'm going to try it. Too much. This is where we are. This is what we got. So we got Sunbeam Synth. Oh, okay, here we go. We're going to add a harp to the end here just to make it super exciting. This, oh, it looks like it's the same length as our song. Check this out. Oh, yeah. Let's hear what it sounds like on a... All right, so this, I've just changed my mind. I like the beginning, but I like that harp leading us in. So let's make it happen, friends. And let's see, there's another beat here. Okay, what I'm hearing here is more of a, like, Sade-style Adventure for Love song. Okay. Hiking for Love is the name of this one. And I'm just going to jot down a couple lyrics here. Climbing for love. And there's lots of metaphors for, you know, learning how to be in a relationship. And I suppose mountains are one of them. But this seems like a more, like, gentle adventure. So a hike seems about right. So, and I think that we can just get away with... I don't want to rhyme path with wrath because this is all positive vibes here. So, like, we're gonna climb this hill, and I know you will. And I know you. Because God, new version of Java is available, everybody. We're going to climb this hill. Together, I know we will go. So a little bit of playing around a little bit with rhyming. But if I'm thinking Sade, and I am, we're going to climb this hill. Together I know we will go hiking for love. Hiking for love. This is what I'm doing at work. So here we are, hiking for love. And I'm going to try and do my best Sade impression. I mean, not impression, but like inspirational singing. And I just gonna need to hear it one more time. Let's hear it. Okay, so I think the vocals come in here. We're gonna climb this hill. Together I know we will go hiking for love. Hiking for love. Weirdly, this is only recording on the, it's not recording in stereo, which is strange. So I'm gonna fix that real quick. Although I was pretty into that just then. Oh, because I'm not monitoring it, I didn't notice that there were still effects on it. So I'm deleting that track. Let's make us a new one. Hey, check. 1, 2. Perfect. And let's just add that silver verb on it. That's my effect of the day, is the silver verb. And I want it to be a little heavier, a little bit bigger of a room. Excellent. We're gonna climb this hill. Yeah. A little hype for love. Here we go. We're gonna climb this hill. Together I know we will go hiking for love. Hiking for love. And like everyone, we're going to do 2. I'm not going to harmonize at the beginning of this one, but I will harmonize on Hiking for Love on 2 different tracks. I'm going to do a thing called double tracking. Double tracking is a classic thing that makes people confused about how music is recorded, because why does their voice sound like that? I'm trying to think of an artist who exclusively double tracks their voice, who wouldn't sound the same. And I will. If you have any ideas in chat who that might be, let me know. But we'll listen to what double tracking means in just a second. Let's try it one more time. We're gonna climb this hill. Together I know we will go hiking for love. Hiking for love. All right, so double tracking ends up being like this. We're gonna climb this hill. Together I know we will go hiking for love. Hiking for love. Yes. Robert Plant does do tremendous amounts of double tracking. Brian Ferry of Roxy Music does. More will come, but that's sort of the idea here. Now, when I double track, I can make my voice sound more expansive by doing panning, which moves the stereo. Again, let's talk about stereo. Left channel, right channel. When we listen to something in stereo, it makes our brains think we're in a room. So when I change the position of the sound, it can make a space feel more expansive. So here we go. This is what it sounds like when I do that. We're gonna climb this hill. Together I know we will go hiking for love. Hiking for love. Now, I'm gonna go for it here. I don't know if I can sing this in falsetto, but I want to, so we're gonna octavize this. We're gonna climb this. Yeah, I can totally do it. Maybe once. Let's try it. So this is the Bon Iver segment of today's thing. Let's try it out. We're gonna climb this hill. because I already double tracked the others, I want to have the same kind of effect on this. So here we go.
We're gonna climb this hill. Together I know we will go. Hiking for love. Hiking for love.
It's not my strongest voice, but you know, I'm looking more for texture here than anything else. So let's see what we got.
We're gonna climb this hill. Together I know we will go. Hiking for love. Hiking for love.
Nice. All right, so I'm going to compress these, just so that there's not as much peaking. Like, basically, like compression is what radio DJs and podcasters use to make is one tool they use to make their voices sound even, rather than like getting really loud or really quiet. They can sometimes be compressors are sometimes scoffed at because they eliminate dynamics in songs, but they work really well in a situation like this.
We're gonna climb this hill. Together I know we will go. Hiking for love. Hiking for love.
I want the low voices to be a little louder, so this is me mixing. This is what mixing looks like. I'm just turning the gain down.
Hiking for love.
I'm really into this one. Maybe this will be a Coke Dare song. Okay, and then okay, so what would Sade do is a good question. That and what would Prince do is always two important questions to ask yourself when you're writing songs this way or really any way. I think there's got to be sort of like a round situation. You know what I mean? By like, you know, like row, row, row your boat kind of thing. So the hiking for love has to have a call and response kind of moment.
Together I know we will go.
It also needs harmonies, so we're about to add a ton of vocal tracks. This is gonna be a total vocal one. We'll do more of a instrumental one next time. So here we go.
Together I know we will go. Hiking for love. Hiking for love.
Let's do that again. And maybe I'll do that one in falsetto if I can. I don't think I can sing that high, so we'll keep it where we can.
Together I know we will go. Hiking for love. Hiking for love.
I wonder sometimes when you hear a song like Hot in Here or others that have audacious vocals, lyrics, if it was just a moment like spontaneous, like they're just, you know, you're just joking around with friends, like what would be the dumbest song that you could write? It's like, well, it's getting hot in here, so I must remove all this clothing. Or relationships are like climbing a mountain, but what if it's easy? Well, maybe we're just going on a hike.
We're gonna climb this hill. Together I know we will go. Hiking for love. Hiking for love.
Oh yeah, God, I think infinite vocals are great. So I can feel love. I can. Oops. I'm just gonna duplicate that because I like the effect. Okay, what you're seeing here is one of both the benefits and problems with digital recording. You can just keep adding, but that's okay as long as you know what you're doing. And I've, you know, sort of, by know what you're doing, I mean you're doing it intentionally. You don't actually have to. I don't actually know everything that's happening right now. Just kind of feeling it out. So
together I know we will go. Hiking for love. Hiking for love.
Hiking for love. That's not what I wanted, but I did experience some joy doing that. So I am on because of X Vitriol, I guess. Hiking for love. So
together I know we will go. Hiking for love.
Nope. I think it's just got to be the same thing. All right, so now that I've kind of got a better idea of what I want here, I'm actually just going to duplicate a couple of these. I'm going to add a couple tracks. And I'm just going to copy already recorded stuff.
Together I know.
I'm going to copy this, which is like a low voice of me. put it down here, and I'm going to copy the high voice of me, put it down here, and then I'm just going to nudge it a little. So
Hiking for love.
that's where Hiking for Love begins. I'm just going to nudge these over and get rid of everything before it. Just play around.
We will go hiking for love. Hiking for love. Hiking for love. Hiking for love.
It's kind of what I wanted, and I need to make this a little bit, need to make this come a little bit later. And of course, turn it down and add delay. And then we will be done. Stereo delay, yes. Stereo delay, yes. And that way I don't have to pan anything. Okay. I'm excited to hear this whole thing. Here it comes, everybody. Hikin' for Love. Track 3 on the Get Yourself a Peffy EP. I have no idea.
We're gonna climb this hill. Together I know we will go hiking for love. Hiking for love. Hiking for
love. I am so proud of this one. Yeah, this could be an ad for the libraries. DHL Jr. especially climbing that hill of finals. I'm sorry, I got to listen to it again. I'm turning it up over here because I really liked that. Here we go. Enjoy your work, people.
We're gonna climb this hill. Together I know we will go hiking for love. Hiking for love. Hiking for love.
I like that one so much that I'm going to save the project. I can't remember, I'm sure all of you out there are huge fans of Robert Pollard and Guided by Voices. And so this probably doesn't need to be said, but that particular guy says he'll write 10 songs, and if one of them's good, he's excited. That means he's writing hundreds of songs. And so, we just wrote 3, and this one I think is actually pretty good. So in spontaneous songwriting, so this is actually something I practice at home. This is something I do for any of my bands, and just to blow off steam, between meetings during my lunch break, if someone says a phrase that I think is particularly lyrical, I will write the song. I don't often finish them, but I will at least throw some loops in there and see if something comes of it. And when they do come of it, they end up honestly being songs that my band, the Coke Dares, or others might play. Sometimes they stay this short. Most of the time, they just go into a vault. But the practice of doing this, I think, it's just really fun. It's unlike practicing other things, which sometimes aren't as fun. This is a GarageBand trick, real quick. If I want to just export a certain amount of time, specifically to the 30-second mark here, I'm using my guide to find the end of that clip. I can zoom in and make sure I'm actually there, which I wasn't. And then I can go to Share, Export Song to Disk, choose Export Cycle Area or Length of Song. And then I don't know if these are all going to my desktop or what, but I don't think so. It doesn't really matter. We'll just throw this one on there because I want to remember it. Now it's made a WAV file. Excellent. Okay. I have to, good question, moderator. We'll let that one go for a minute. I'll say this. When we were considering names for the band, we did consider the name the Pepsi Challenge. And then instead of calling it that, we called it what the opposite or synonym of that would be. So rather than the Pepsi Challenge, it was the Coke Dares. So you can find it. It's out there. It's Bandcamp Friday too. But I'm not here to promote my own thing. I am here to say, if you are buying stuff on Bandcamp, please do support artists that you like on Bandcamp today, since most of the proceeds, if not all, I think all the proceeds, go to the artist. And many of your favorite artists are also probably supporting really great causes. So today's a great day to do it. All right. We added a lot to that one. That was fun. So I want something completely different. I want to go, while I was doing that one, I was thinking, living in the 80s as a very young child, very young, as a toddler and preteen up through 89, I listened to the radio a lot, and one of my favorite things on the radio was hearing something like Smooth Operator by Sade, followed by something by Huey Lewis and the News, or something by Babyface, or something by, well, I hate Poison, but like hair metal. So old people say this all the time, and I'm saying it now myself too. Hit radio used to sound like it was like had a more diverse set of styles. Partially because there just wasn't as much music being put out, but I just thought of hearing Smooth Operator followed by Power of Love, and I kind of want to do like a straight up dumb rock song. So we're gonna go straight dumb rock song now. So we're gonna go back to drums. I'm gonna take Sun out of here. I'm gonna use the word vintage. Actually, I'm gonna use the word rock. Let's see what rock gets us. Oh, nothing. Oh, lots of terrible stuff here with the word rock. Let's get out of here. Just type in rock. Oh, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Steady rocking break. That's more like a Zeppelin style break there. Let's just go to all drums and see what we got. Take this away. There are actually some really cool sounding loops in here. Like, I really like the break beats. Here's something that I probably did. I'm pretty sure I changed the tempo. So we're at 80, which is cool. I'm going to move up. What is the classic rock? Oh, 120. So 120 beats per minute, I think, or it's 140. One of those two. Let's see if this is right. Those beats are too cool for what I'm trying to do here. I need something dumber than that. So that's still pretty cool, but like that's more of what I'm looking for. So let's talk like 80s pop here. All right, so we're back at 120 beats per second. I don't know if this is real, but apparently Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top heard that the most number one songs that were ever written were at some beats per minute, probably like 120, and so he wrote all of Eliminator, which is ZZ Top's like hit pop record, at that tempo, just so they would all be number one hits. That's using data, everyone, to be successful. Yeah, that is too cool for what I'm doing, but it sounds so good. So let's get some bass in here. And we're going to go for something dumb. I'm not going to type in bass. I'm going to actually use this. So, Motorway. That's just too much. Too cool. Just need something easy here. Hiking for Love. that seems a little weird too. Again, I'm getting a little more specific here. I just like that, so that's going in here. And I'm going to drop that in every other round. It's going to be, this song's going to be this long. It's going to be 8 measures. But let's find... Yeah, okay, so this is turning into more of like a Fletch theme song style thing, and that's totally fine. Huey Lewis probably would have written a good one of those too. All right, so this song's writing itself. All right, so we've got some bass here. Maybe it's all bass. Too much. Maybe I got ahead of myself there. Let's get into synths here. Nope. Oh. Oh, and I also changed this to C minor, which is fine. But I wonder what happens if I go to C major. Let's listen to it. Yeah, I like this too. Okay, I just want some texture. And I don't think that's what I want. The space in this is what's making it work. So let's find... Oh, God, that's loud. All right, this is making me remember that I kind of want an arpeggiator. So there it is. That's all I needed. Yep. Exactly what I was envisioning. Okay. We're almost done. Conga. Here we go. Okay. No idea what this song's about, but I'm going to... So I really like this melody that's already inherent here. Dun, 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 dun. So I could either sing along with that, or I can make something that is counter to it in a nice way. I like the spacing though, so I'm going to the internet to pick a topic, and I'm going to do a word generator. Random word generator. I just clicked random word generator. The word is viable. It's viable. It's tryable. Tryable isn't a word, but like maybe that's the name of this song. Tryable. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. Like, tryable. It's tryable. 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 It's viable. It's tryable. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, got it. Let's try this. And we're gonna do a mix of and so what are there other words? Liable rhymes with that. Reliable, pliable. Reliable. This is perfect. Great. Thank you so much. I love working with everyone here at NC State University Libraries, especially the Twitch moderators who helped me finish these songs. Great job. Delete this. I'm just going to try this out. It won't work perfectly the first time, but viable. It's tryable. Viable. Tryable. I don't want it to go along with that, but I do like the first part. So, practice makes perfect. It's viable. It's tryable. Viable. Tryable. Pliable. Reliable. Pliable. Nope. Close though. This is fun. Pliable. Reliable. All right, so let's hear how that sounds. It's viable. So hot. Here, let me just turn this down a little bit. So hot. Let's try this one more time. Now I got it. Got all these cool words. Viable. Tryable. I think it's is important here. I am adjusting my input gain. It's viable. It's tryable. Viable. Tryable. Pliable. Pliable. God, that's a good word. Tryable. All right. Usually I wouldn't start from the top every time, but I'm getting it here. It's viable. It's tryable. Viable. Tryable. It's viable. Reliable. Viable. This would be a tough one to sing live, but I'm going to go ahead and start from there. Here we go. Viable. Tryable. Okay. Now I'm just going to go ahead and add another one here with double track with falsetto. It's viable. It's tryable. Viable. I can't sing that high. So what I could do now, this is cool. I'm going to lower the key. We're in C minor. So I'm going to lower this. Let's go down to A minor. It's going to sound weird, but here we go.
It's viable.
Don't worry, we'll go back up.
It's viable. It's tryable. Viable. Tryable. It's viable.
It's hard to tell what I'm...
It's viable.
Oh, there it is. It's viable. It's viable. There it is.
It's viable. It's tryable. Viable. Tryable. It's pliable. reliable, viable, triable.
Okay, so now, now that I was able to do that, let's take it back up to where we were. That's what Prince would do. If I know Prince. Let's hear how weird that sounds now.
It's viable. It's triable. Viable. Triable.
I love this so much. Okay, so I need to make those match up. Thank you, latency. As you can see, I'm just like a split second behind on all of them.
It's viable. It's triable.
I really like this. But I'm going to turn that down and add some reverb to it, you know, just to make it sound cool.
It's viable. It's triable. Viable. Triable. It's viable. Reliable. Viable. Triable.
Wow. What a world, everyone.
Viable. Triable.
I like this so much. Let's add something to it. Compressor for sure. And then on this one, I want a little bit of echo. I just want like a very, very short Apple delay.
It's viable. It's viable.
It's viable. It's viable.
It's viable.
Close.
It's viable. It's triable. Viable. Triable.
I don't like it as much as I thought I would. I just still like that reverb though. So let's take the AU delay off. Add some silver verb. There we go.
It's viable. It's triable. Viable. Triable. It's viable.
That arpeggio is so loud, and I like it, but I want to add some verb to it too. Verb.
Triable. It's viable. Reliable. It's viable. Reliable. Viable. Triable.
Cool. I like this so much, and I'm going to add harmonies now. I'm gonna leave it so it's viable. I think that in the second half,
It's viable. It's triable.
here it is.
It's triable. Viable.
Nope, nope.
It's viable. Viable. Triable.
Whoa, didn't mean to record there, but I just undid it, so that's good.
It's triable. Viable. Triable. It's viable. Reliable.
Reliable. I really like that turn. Reliable.
It's viable. Reliable. Viable. Triable.
Buyable, tryable.
It's viable. It's triable. Viable. Triable. It's viable. Reliable. Viable.
Oh yeah, I just figured out the second harmonies there. Great. Viable.
It's triable. Viable. Triable. It's viable. Reliable.
Reliable. Tribal, reliable, reliable.
It's viable. reliable, viable, triable.
All right, we've got 3-part harmonies in this one, everybody.
It's viable, it's triable, viable, triable.
Hard to do in this OBS monitoring situation. So here we go. We got a acapella. NC State loves acapella. This is what it sounds like.
It's viable, it's triable, viable.
Need to, need to match them up, and it's cool because the waveforms are easy to see. So
Viable, triable.
Weird. All right, so I'm a little behind on that one.
Triable,
It's pliable.
reliable,
Oh yeah. Years of church choir.
reliable, viable, triable.
I love harmonies. Undeniably. So this is our song, folks. Part 4 of the EP, which I may have to add, which I may have to finish sooner than later because I have a 2:00 meeting. Here we go. I think it needs a little bit of an intro, and I think the intro should be
Viable,
this. So I'm just moving this over. I got to make a record with Jack White once, and it was all analog, but he was so interested in doing everything backwards. And one of the tracks we made, he made us do all of the vocals first, and then we added the instruments. And that was a cool way of thinking about how to construct anything, really, is deconstructing it, or not even deconstructing it, just doing it in reverse order. Makes you rethink how you would have done it the other way. Of course, it could have worked either way, but that was cool. Anyway, this is it with the intro.
viable, triable. It's viable, it's triable, viable, triable. It's viable, reliable, viable, triable.
And then I think we do that again up here.
Triable, viable, triable.
Love it. All right, so I'm very proud of this work we're all doing together. We're going to listen to this one more time and export it.
Viable, triable. It's viable, it's triable, viable, triable. It's viable, reliable, viable, triable, viable, triable.
Nice. We did it. Okay. Last one. Viable, triable. Last one. And then we'll all take a break. I'm going to try to do this one as quickly as possible. Again, I'm going to let the loops kind of choose themselves. Hopefully you are inspired to maybe do this at home if you have access to GarageBand. Certainly a fun way to blow off steam during finals. I mean, if I guess when I was in grad school, I had finals and had access to GarageBand, and I would write songs during it. So, not just saying it. Okay. I am going to search randomly. Got everything going on here. I picked Disco Delight Clav. I'm seriously just gonna scroll down, and wherever my cursor goes is Driving Synth Effects 25. Gavin is might be singing. I'm not sure. Gavin is something. It's a drummer. Thanks, Gav. looks like we got a couple of beats here. Hold steady sub bass. And again, this has got an inked beat. So this is going to be kind of beat heavy. Let's see what we got. All right. That's unexpected, and let's see. I want the synth to come in right there. I don't know what this is, but and it's hard to come up with even any melody here, so let me try to find something. There it is. And then we'll bring in this jazz hustle flute too near the end, because everybody loves jazz flute. I think a vintage break would be good here. I think what we're doing is an instrumental here, everybody. I think this is gonna end up being a 16-bar instrumental. Yep. Dance your way out of the library. This is actually really fun. If you don't have a microphone or you don't want to sing, you can just manipulate stuff this way. Yeah, let's leave it that way. I'm going to add one thing. I'm going to add a keyboard track. I can just do, if I press K, is it K? No, that's not it. I'm going to add, let's see, window, show, share, mix, view. I'm just going to type in keyboard. I forget. Show keyboard. There it is. So, oops. Can't hear it anymore. That sucks. Let's hear where we are. I want this to work. Well, screw it. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Forget it. Let me get rid of this. This is our last track. This is the last track of the EP right here. Seems good to me. All right, so we will export this. All right, so what I just did there is what like beat makers do. I just took samples and I arranged them in some way or another. And that is totally legit. Like I did move where things go. I thought the jazz flute would work somewhere well. The synth effect went where I thought it should go. So I'm satisfied with that. And we have made an EP, everyone. Dancing Out of the Library. And I'm excited. So let's take a listen to everything we've done. Let's listen to this EP as expected. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. I did very much. So write some spontaneous songs, everybody. You'll love it. You won't be able to get enough of it. So, but where did they all go? It's the question I have for us. Okay. Date modified. There we go. All right, so we start with Peffy. Here, I'm going to throw these in a GarageBand project, actually, so we can just listen to them in order. Yes. Yes. And I'm going to also turn on my speakers in the house so I can listen to them loudly. Okay, hopefully you'll still be able to hear all these. So we first have Peffy. And then we have X Vitriol. And then we have Hiking for Love. I forgot about how much I like that one. And then we have Viable Triable. And then our Dancing Through the Library. And we have an EP. Let's take a listen to it. Actually listen. Here we go.
Peffy, Peffy, you've made your selection. It's the Peffy connection. Peffy, Peffy.
But doctor, I'm so tired of not having it all.
You can have it all. Ex-vitriol. You can have it all. Ex-vitriol.
Ex-vitriol should not be used by anyone who isn't into the following: having it all, fresh fruit, Peffy, spontaneous songwriting, general joy.
We're gonna climb this hill. Together I know we will go. Hiking for love. Hiking for love. Hiking for love. Viable. Triable. It's viable. It's triable. Viable. Triable. It's viable, reliable, viable, triable, viable, triable.
We did it. It sounded really good, too. I just turned on the Sonos speakers upstairs so I could hear it through my entire house. It's great. I don't think the cat loved it. We did it, everybody. I will... this will be available somewhere, probably on the State of Sound collection, which I will throw into chat right now. check out State of Sound if you haven't already. Listen to what your colleagues and friends at State may have made and shared so that you can listen to it too. And yeah, so don't be afraid. Write some songs. They can be as spontaneous as this anytime. And before we go, we're just going to end one more time with both of our favorites, Hiking for Love. Thanks, everybody. I'm Jason. This has been Spontaneous Songwriting. Best of luck getting through finals. I hope to share stuff like this with you in the future as well.
We're gonna climb this hill. Together I know we will go. Hiking for love. Hiking for love. Hiking for love.
We're going to climb this hill. Together I know we'll go hiking for love. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy your day. See you here, there, and everywhere soon. Bye. I'm going to just pull myself out of this and play this EP one more time on our way out. So see y'all soon and goodbye.